Hey, you guys. Hey, everyone. I'm so sorry. I'm a few minutes late. Right before I was due to jump on, my daughter called. You guys let me know if you hear me, you see me. And hopefully, to God, there's not an echo. So, you guys, let me know and we will get right into this. Why is it saying we're not live? Can you guys see me? Okay, you guys can see me. Oh, I just exited out of all of my notes when I just went to go look over there. Okay. I hate that there's a delay. I hate that there's a delay because, like, on my phone, it still shows that I'm not live. It's really, really strange. So I'm so sorry that I'm late, you guys. But my phone rang right before I was due to come on. I have a couple streams that we're gonna do today, and I know it's late, but I've been so kind of confused on what to cover today. There was some stuff with Josh Duggar. He had an appeals hearing that I really wanted to cover, but I want to wait to cover that until I know what I can have access to. There's audio out there that I'm not so sure it's supposed to be out there. Like, I really don't know if it's supposed to be out there. But I do want to talk about that because I do think Josh Tucker may be granted an appeal, which will be wild. So, we're going to talk about Brian Kohberger because his attorney, I said I thought there was a conflict of interest, and it looks like his attorney was cleared. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get into that. Okay. So this is from News Nation. Sources close to the prosecution of Brian Kohlberger told News Nation that his attorney had a private meeting with the judge and has been cleared of any conflict of interest concerns. Ann Taylor, who is the chief of the Kootenai County Public Defender's Office, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Kootenai previously represented three family members of two of Kohlberger's alleged victims before switching to take the case, according to court records. Now, not only did she represent them, but she was actually representing one when Brian Kohlberger was brought in. The morning of Brian Kohlberger's first hearing in Moscow, the morning of his very first hearing, she recused herself from representing uh, Xana's mom. And Xana's mom didn't even know. So I think it's definitely a conflict of interest. Also, that they had a private meeting with the judge. I don't know. I'm here for transparency. You know what I'm saying? Like, why a private meeting shouldn't somebody else been in that meeting? I don't know. So in the most recent case, there were drug charges that were filed against Kara Northington, the mother of Xana, and that was on November 19th, 6 days after her daughter and three others were found dead inside an off campus rental home. So Xana, Madison, Kaylee, and Ethan were all stabbed to death in the early morning hours of November 13th. So literally 6 days later, Kara is has drug charges and she is being represented by Ann Taylor. So Anne withdrew from Xana's mother's case on January 5th, like I said, the same day that Brian Kohlberger made his first court appearance in Moscow. Since then, Taylor took over the public defender's office, or since Taylor took over the public defender's office in 2017, her office has defended Xana's mother in four cases. Let's see. Xana's mom did an interview with News Nation back in January, and she said, "I'm heartbroken because I trusted Anne, and pretended that she was wanting to help me, and to find out that she's now representing Brian Kohlberger, I can't even convey how betrayed I feel." I couldn't even imagine. Like, I have an attorney that represented me in my lawsuit against the police department. I could not even imagine if, like, and she still does work for me because right now we're in the process of having some stuff done, and I could not imagine if something happened, like, God forbid, one of my children were murdered, and then come to find out she dropped me as a client to represent the guy that murdered one of my children. What? I would be like dragging her. I'd be on my YouTube channel every day dragging her. I'm not even lying. So, attorney Mark Gregos told News Nation host Ashley Banfield that Taylor shouldn't have been able to represent Brian Kohberger without a waiver signed by the parents who were previously represented by her. That was my understanding as well, because I know somebody that's been in a similar situation, kind of like this, but there was that murder involved. So, I can kind of explain it. Someone who I know, a girl who was suing the police, kind of like me, and she went to an attorney, and this attorney agreed to take her case on contingency. He then introduced her to another attorney and said they were both going to work on the case. Um, and then after the paperwork was filed and the police department that person was suing got served, they contacted the first attorney and said, "Hey, we're being sued by this person. Can you represent us?" And he was like, "Well, actually, I was supposed to be representing her, but she does have another attorney. So sure, I think I can represent y'all." They called that girl and convinced that girl to sign a waiver allowing the first guy to represent the police department. And that girl didn't want to do it at first. The girl was like, "This seems like a conflict of interest." I talked to the girl. She said my exact words was to the female lawyer, "That's a conflict of interest. I don't want to sign nothing allowing this man to now represent the police department when he was supposed to be my attorney. I don't want to do that." And the female attorney convinced the girl that it would be the best thing for her to do. So, but what we do know is Xana's mom says she didn't sign anything, that she didn't know anything, that she was unaware that this was even happening. So you know she did not sign no waiver. Now, when the lawyer Ann Taylor and the judge talked privately, um, Gregos, who is an attorney, said during his appearance on News Nation, he said, "I understand that, and I've done that many times. I just don't think that there's any way possible that there isn't going to be a discussion of that house, the use of drugs, and the people going in and out. I just find that entirely too hard to believe." Obviously, even this attorney on News Nation saying, "I think there would be a conflict of interest." Um, like, I don't see how it wouldn't. I mean, you're going to be representing this man. Say trial starts. You're going to have your ex client sitting behind you, watching you represent this man that killed their children. That in itself is a conflict of interest to me. I don't even know. News Nation also learned from someone close to the case that prosecutors support removing Taylor from the case. So the prosecutors supported removing Ann from the case. I'm not shocked by that. Latah County will pay Ann Taylor $200 an hour for her standard work week. That's something else I wanted to talk about. So not only did she have a private meeting with the judge where the judge said, "Okay, you're clear from conflict of interest. You can continue on representing Brian Kohberger," but she's being paid $8,000 a week to represent Brian Kohberger, and she's being paid by Latah County taxpayer dollars, which everyone has the right to an attorney. But holy crap, $8,000 is what the taxpayers are paying for that attorney? Oh, hey, Leah. Leah? Do you say your name Leah or Lee? Okay, so I also wanted to play this. This is News Nation discussing this, and I'm going to try to show this to you guys. I'm hoping this will work. You guys let me know if you can hear it in just a minute. I did say it correctly? Awesome.
I'm coming back with some more exclusive material on the Idaho murder, so I hope you will stay through the next ensuing moments. I think this is one of the most important issues that has come across the radar.
Me too.
The Idaho murder case, because I like criminal procedure. I've been, kind of steeped in it for a long time, and I cannot stand when something gets overturned on appeal. I can't
That's going to be a big thing too. Is something gets overturned on an appeal, if there's a mistrial, over this in itself, I would think it could be. I don't know.
Stand it because sometimes it's so preventable, right? Especially if you know in advance and you do something about it. And I kind of see something percolating here. The experts know better, and they're having a field day arguing online about this. And so I know it's a really important issue. It has to do with conflict of interest. I know we've talked about it before, but I have some breaking news on this tonight. So the issue has been Brian Kohberger's public defender, Ann Taylor, right? Uh, she showed up and then walked into court with him the very first time. She's a very accomplished attorney. Holy cow. She's got some real scores under her belt, right? So she's good. She's also a leader in the public defender's office. So looked like it was a pretty good match, especially for a case that was important as this. Could be a death penalty case. I'll repeat, could be a death penalty case. You have to have a star, but you have to have a clean star, someone who has no conflicts in her past representations. And along came the fact that she had indeed represented the mother of Kara Kernodle, one of the alleged victims of Brian Kohberger, her client, and then two other parents of the victims, right? So that all of a sudden, it's like it seems so clear. Well, you cannot have represented the children of parents who are now going to be in that courtroom watching you defend their child's alleged killer. You can't. And yet there's some wiggle room. But with all of the conflagration that happened, it turns out now there has been a meeting. And we have sources close to the prosecution who have told us that Ann Taylor has had a meeting with the judge on this exact issue, the conflict of interest issue. Private meeting behind closed doors, discussing all of the issues. Likely she was called in to lay out, tell me everything you did with client A, client B, and client C. Tell me everything so that we can exclude the possibility of a conflict. And in this review process, my source has told me that it's been cleared. No conflict, according to the judge. So is that it? I mean, Kara Northington, Ben Mogan, Corey Hatrock, all parents of the deceased victims in this case, all had Ann Taylor on their cases, right? So it is such a curious issue. What did she tell the judge? Like, what did she lay out to the judge in order for the judge in this case to say, nothing to see here, no conflict problem? Did she see our interview? Did the judge see our interview with Ann Taylor's previous client, who she dropped on the very day she showed up in that courtroom with her brand new client, Brian Kohberger? Literally dropped her former client, Kara Northington, that's Xana Kernodle's mom.
That's kind of what I had the issue with. Is she finds out because she is a public defender, so you get assigned cases, and they would need one that would qualify. Probably of having the understanding this may be a death penalty case, so let's go ahead and assign our only public defender here in this county that is death penalty qualified, which would be Ann Taylor. So let's go ahead and assign her. Okay, she gets the notice. Hey, you're assigned to this case. Hold up. I can't because I actually represent one of the victim's mother and I've represented one of the other victim's parents in something completely different. So I'm going to need to pass on this. Granted, they would have had to go out of the county to find another attorney that was death penalty qualified, but she could have said no because how much does she know about these families? To me, it just seems like it would be a conflict of interest.
Dropped her that day.
Dropped
and
her
they were
that
still
day.
active. Like it was still an active pending case. By the way, Kara Northington had no idea that this had gone on. She had no notification of it, she told us. And did Ann Taylor know about the interview that we conducted on this program with Xana's mom, in which she laid out that she was gobsmacked by all of this, that she had no idea.
The Mentos gum bottle is recyclable just like. I wanted to watch that with you guys. But to me, I think, I don't know, to me, it kind of does tell me how scummy lawyers are. Because if I was an attorney, I think I would get invested in my cases. I would get invested with the people that I'm representing. Because, you know, when you go to an attorney, this is something that really, I mean, I know when I went to my attorney over my false arrest, this was something that I was passionate about. I was falsely arrested. You know, this woman, she got arrested for drugs, right? You trust your attorney. And half the time, it's the worst thing you can do to trust your attorney because a lot of them are not worthy of your trust. A lot of them, to me, she should have dropped it. She should have said, "Sorry, I represent the parents, and this would be a conflict of interest to me, or I just don't. I've already got to know this lady, and I cannot imagine now representing the man that is being accused of killing her child. I don't know. I mean, it may be something that's happens all the time. Um, I don't know, but I just couldn't imagine. Now, I wanted to check this out because I listened to three parents' names like 5 times. All I know of Xana's mom. I believe she thinks Brian's case will put her on the map. Well, it definitely will. All apology says, did this attorney not represent one of the family members and it had to do with some family stuff, which would have been the victims? Yes. From my understanding, she represented Xana's mom in like a child custody situation, I believe. I could have that information flipped backwards, but I do believe she represented Xana's mom in a child custody situation or something to do with children involved, which would have been Xana. Now, I've also been seeing things coming out everywhere. She's being paid 8K a week, 8K a week, $200 an hour. And somebody said, well, it doesn't matter. You know, public defenders get paid either way. So I'm like, well, damn, that's a lot. Public defenders are getting paid in that county $8,000 a week. Holy moly. So I looked it up to see, is she getting paid more because of this case? And I did come across an article saying that I'm going to read it. It says Brian Kohberger's lawyer is getting paid extra for this case after being cleared of apparent conflict of interest. Considering how high profile the University of Idaho murder case is, you'd think the state of Idaho will want to make sure every single aspect of the trial was as free of controversy as possible. But before it can even begin, it's been saddled with scandal. Those following the case of Brian Kohberger was assigned to public defender named Ann Taylor. Unfortunately, it was quickly discovered Miss Taylor has a conflict of interest here, as she has represented three different parents of the victims. As the chief counsel in the Kootenai County Public Defender's Office, she previously represented Maddie Mugen's father and stepmother on a drug-related charge. And right up until she got Kohberger's case, she was representing Xana's mother, Kara, for a drug arrest that happened 6 days after the murders. She had to hand that case over to another attorney in order to get the murder case. Okay, who's the third one? Because I ain't heard the third one either. I have heard that there's three, but I've only heard of two. Okay, this certainly seemed like a conflict of interest. After all, the parents of the victims not only have stake in the outcome of the murder trial, they could also end up taking the stand. And she would have to question them. Kaylee's parents have already reportedly been listed as potential witnesses in this trial. Kara, in particular, was upset telling News Nation's Ashley Banfield back in January. I'm heartbroken because I trusted her and pretended that she was wanting to help me. And to find out that she's now representing Brian, I can't even convey how betrayed I feel. So why didn't they bring in counsel from out of the state? According to sources speaking to News Nation on Thursday, Taylor was officially cleared of any conflict of interest concerns. She had a private meeting with the judge about it, and it was all settled. Because this was a private meeting, we have no idea why the judge ruled that everything was okay and cleared her of conflict of interest. All we can do is hope that this does not come back to bite the court later on in the butt, like say on an appeal. Now that Taylor is moving forward and representing Brian Kohberger, it's also come out that she's getting paid a substantial extra salary to do so. I don't know. I mean, to me, I'm thinking $8,000 is a lot, right? 8,000 a week. Okay, so according to an agreement obtained by local CBS affiliate Crim 2, the Latah County has agreed to pay the Kootenai County Public Defender $200 per hour for the defense. See, Latah doesn't have a public defender approved to handle capital cases where the death penalty is in play. Taylor is one of only 13 in the entire state who can do it, which may be why she's getting more than average here. A lot of fuss is being made over the extra pay. When you work it out, she is getting paid $8,000 a week for a case that may go on for months. And that doesn't even include overtime, of which there's likely to be a lot. It's a huge case after all. Seems like a big payday, right? Well, maybe not. From what we're hearing, the lawyers over there, it's really not very high for an hourly rate. That's what I'm thinking because I'm like, $200 an hour? Is it though? $200 an hour? Because I know of attorneys over here that make about that, and we're a small town. But still, $8,000 a week is a lot to me. I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot. So how many hours are they calculating that? I gotta do that. Somebody do the math for me if you guys don't mind. $8,000 a week. Hold on. Oh, so that's at 40. That's at 40 hours. Okay, that's at 40 hours. Okay. On the high side for a public defender, sure, that is a lot. But there's not a lot of money in defending people for free. There's not a lot of money. Okay. But again, this is a really high profile case for which Taylor is likely to be picked apart in the media just for sitting at a table with the accused. Oh, not to mention, with all the evidence against him, it may be kind of an impossible task. It's not an it's not an enviable position any way you shake it. So a higher salary may actually be needed to offset the difficulties. We get why folks are quick to vilify Taylor, but everyone is entitled to legal defense, right? Yes. It's the only way we can be satisfied that justice is being done. We don't want innocent people in prison, and we damn sure do not want murderers to be set free because of legal mistakes. Right. I do agree there. I'm wondering what's the normal rate. There's so many articles, Kohberger's lawyer to make $200 an hour. $200 an hour for defending him. The public defender will receive $200 an hour. Brian Kohberger's attorney being paid $8K a week. It's like this got to be an increase. That must not be what they normally make. I know, me too. I'd be happy with $8K a month. But I am wondering, what does an attorney, a public defender, what on average does a public defender make an hour? I'm sure it varies. Okay, hold on. This is in Louisiana. In Louisiana, as of February 8, 2023, the average annual pay for a public defender in Louisiana is $96,000 a year. Just in case you need a simple salary calculator, that works out to be about $46 an hour, equivalent to $1,854 a week, or 8,000, not 800, $8,000 a month. So that is an increase. Holy crap. That is an increase. She's going from like $50 an hour to $200 an hour. Holy crap. I mean, I get it. I do get it. I mean, she is automatically a villain in most people's eyes because she's representing him. And not only that, but because she dropped one of the victim's parents to go represent him. I think we do have the death penalty. I think so. Louisiana have the. Yes. Yes, but it's been years since we've had an execution. So every state with PhDs is different. ID doesn't have a real PD officer with salaried employees like NY, NJ, MA, etc. Hard work for a while, but you could take a heck of vacation after. That's true. Hey, Kelly. I had to hire a family lawyer attorney before, and he was $100 an hour. So a criminal law attorney, I'm sure, would make much more than that. I'm just kind of mind blown that a public defender only makes like $50 an hour. All says we just had an execution here in Mississippi. Cool. So she's going from making around about 50 to $50 an hour to now $200 an hour. And that's at 40 hours a week, which, like they said, she's definitely going to get overtime. So any overtime that goes into that, I mean, she could, I doubt she's just going to be working 40 hours a week. Probably going to be more like 80 hours a week or something ridiculous, you know? Sadly, that's why public defenders are usually very good. They're normally new law students. I love that you tend to go live in the evenings. Thanks for all. Thank you, Serena. Thank you so much. We are talking about Brian Kohberger's attorney. Yeah, she. I'm sure she'll have other people. Yeah, she's not. They're gonna have. I think they. Seems I remember reading that they estimate the attorney fees to be somewhere around $2 million. Yeah, if she wants to do book deals, interviews, things like that, she could definitely make way more money. So Kelly, we're talking about Brian Kohlberger's attorney. She had a private meeting with the judge where she was cleared of any conflict of interest um, concerns with this case because she represented the two of the parents of the victims. One actually, she had to recuse herself. She had to recuse herself the morning that she appeared in court with Kohlberger. To me, if I am representing a woman who had just been arrested for drugs and she just lost her daughter to a terrible murder, I would feel a sense of, I don't know, and like I'm truly blown away by this lady. How can she sleep at night? That's crazy. I know because if I don't know, but a lot of people are different, and some people can represent you and never even give a crap about who you are. You know, I mean, this is a mother who clearly is going through it. She just lost her daughter to a murder, and now she gets arrested for drugs, and she loses her attorney. Her daughter had been slaughtered, and she was just dropped like a bad habit. Yeah, her assistant is getting $180 an hour. This is not only a high priority case, but possibly a death penalty case. So she well deserves her pay. Oh, I think she deserves it for sure. I'm actually shocked to hear that public defenders only get paid $50 an hour because I think they deserve more. Well, she had to recuse herself. She didn't have to. So when she got put on notice that, hey, we're going to have this guy that's being accused of murder, you're going to be assigned to his case. And she was like, hold up. Well, I actually represent one of the mothers, and I've represented one of the another set of parents as well. She could have recused herself from his. She could have said, I can't take his. I feel like it's a conflict of interest. Because they kind of leave it up to you. They tell you to like confer with other attorneys, and kind of figure out how you feel about it. It's kind of like a situational basis, I guess, to where you think about all the facts you know, and you make that decision. So she could have said, I I've represented Maddie's parents already, and I'm currently representing Xana's mom. So I don't feel comfortable taking this case, pass it on to someone else. And they would have had to do that. Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Marcia. I know, so shocking. And the fact that she's a death penalty attorney, if she represents him, I feel somehow, some way it will cause a mistrial. Well, the prosecution was wanting her thrown off of it. Yes, now she didn't have to take his case. Yes, she chose to represent him. Oh, thank you, Teresa. Thank you so much. Your calm voice when trolls come after you. I wouldn't be. Well, they just don't know no better. That's what I always say. They don't know any better. Yeah, give me just a second. I'm so sorry. My daughter is at Walmart and needs money. Not that I even have it, but you do what you do. All right, let's see. All right. Were the mother and daughter close? Some children have no contact with their mothers for their own protection. Of course, the mother would be in pain no matter what. I'm not really sure how close they were. Um, but she represented Madison's parents as well at one point. So I just feel like that would definitely be a conflict of interest. She didn't represent one set, but she didn't represent just one victim's parents, but two victims. Well, they say three. I don't know who the third is or if she represented one more than once. Um, but yeah, I kept seeing like she's getting paid $200 an hour, $200 an hour, and I'm like, well, dang, ain't that standard? Like, but apparently it's not. Standard over there where they live is about $50 an hour. So, what do you guys think? If you think this is a conflict of interest and she should not have taken the case, put a one in the chat. My brother interviewed for his state federal law office. He turned down the job because it was sex crime trafficking, etc. And he has a daughter, but it was only 165 salary. Yeah, if you can be doing jobs like that, I mean, I'm gonna need to be paid more. I don't see how they couldn't say there's a conflict of interest. It's very likely that their children came up in conversation regarding their defense. Attorneys are going to cover anything they can. Exactly, and not only that, but like they said, these parents may be put on the stand during this trial. Xana's mom may be put on the stand. So Xana's mom, Kara, may be questioned by her ex attorney. And if that ain't a conflict of interest, right? What you think? Would that be a conflict of interest? I don't know. So, if you have you guys ever had an attorney represent you for anything at any point in time? Could you imagine your child being killed and then you go to court and you're questioned by your ex attorney? Or like, well, like Bree said, they would have someone else question them. Yeah, they probably have one of the other attorneys question them, but you're sitting there looking at your ex attorney who is you know what I'm saying? I just feel, I don't know. In my heart, I feel like it's not okay. But I don't know. I mean, if a judge said okay, I don't know. I was just reading. They do know that Kaylee's parents are supposed to be put on the witness stand. Kaylee's parents. I want. She did have a choice, Bossy. So public defenders do get assigned cases, but they can turn them down due to conflict of interest. As we can see, she's still not shaken the addiction. Oh, that's sad if she hasn't. Oh well, yeah. I mean, she got arrested. Yeah, that's true. I feel like if it's not a conflict of interest, then I must clearly have no idea what a conflict. That's the way I feel. I'm like, if it's not, I must not understand. Her addiction has zero to do with this being a conflict. Yeah, exactly. I can see him being able to use this as an appeal if he gets convicted. He could use the argument for an appeal. Yeah. So one was I asked people to put a one if they felt like this was a clear case of conflict of interest. Put a two if you thought that there was no conflict of interest. It's still not fair if one of the other attorneys question her. They know more about her because of the relationship. That's what I'm thinking. Like in the situation where I knew, right? The situation that I knew about, when this girl decided to sue the police department, she met with this attorney. We're just going to call him, we're just say his name is John. She met with John and said, this is what happened to me. I was arrested. It was a false arrest, blah, 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 blah. And she told him everything about her story, everything that happened that day, where she was going. And that attorney asked her, do you know anybody that would want to do this to you? Had any cops been like stalking your house? Blah 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 blah, all kind of things, right? Um, and then he says, "Yes, I will take your case. Send me everything you have about your arrest." Okay, and this goes on for like 6 or 8 months. This attorney, John, calls the woman and says, "Hey, I am going to bring in another attorney. I want you to meet her. She's a civil rights attorney. I think we need her on our team." Okay. So they go meet the civil rights attorney. John is in the room as this woman, Mary, is telling this new attorney about her wrongful arrest. All the details. John looks at the female attorney, the civil rights attorney, and says, "We got a case, huh? You want to join us?" She's like, "Yeah, y'all got a really good case. I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this." Okay. So the first attorney, John, says, "I will send you everything that I have so far so we can get to work on this and we can file it." Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now this one girl who was wrongfully arrested is thinking she has two attorneys. She has John and she has, I don't remember, Susie. And the woman's name is Mary that was falsely arrested. Mary is still in the police department. Her first attorney was John. John introduced her to Susie. Okay? Okay? Everything that she sent, it was sent to John, CC'd to Susie. So both of her attorneys had all of her proof and evidence. A few months later, she gets a call from Susie and says, I know it's a confusing story. I'm so sorry. She gets a call from Susie and says, "Hey, Mary So John, your attorney, the attorney that was working with us in this case, John got picked up to represent the police department in this lawsuit. In this lawsuit, John is representing the police department. And Mary says, "What? How? He's my attorney. He was my first attorney. How is he representing the people that I'm suing? He knows all about everything." And she says, and Mary says, "This got to be a conflict of interest." Was Dana the name? Well, I can't tell you guys the real names, but Mary says this has got to be a conflict of interest. Like, I've already told John everything about my arrest, like everything. He asked me questions. You know, whatever. She says, "Well, technically, it kind of is a conflict of interest, but just look at it like this: John is not going to do you wrong. I've been working with John for like 15 years. He wants to see justice. Like, he knows what they did to you. It's almost like we got somebody on our side that's in the inside. Think of it that way." Mary said, "I really don't like the feeling of this. Like, I don't feel good about it. Like, he just knows my whole story. Like, what if he runs over there and he tells them my story and they crooked their way around this? He's not going to do that. I can promise you he's not going to do that. You need to sign this waiver allowing John to represent the police department." All right, then. So Mary goes and signs this waiver, which is what needed to happen here as well. She was supposed to sign a waiver. That's what they told her. They said, "You were supposed to sign a waiver. She just can't drop you as a client to go represent, the man that killed your daughter. You would have had to sign a paper, you know?" Serena. Kinda. Mary kind of got screwed over a little bit, yeah. Because come to find out, John and Susie were kind of working together for themselves, not for really either one of their clients, but for themselves. Um, I picture myself a law bashing his head against the wall. At my story, well, it's only three characters, two attorneys, and one person suing the police department. Um, she didn't even know her lawyer was representing this man exactly. She really didn't. Um, Same thing with Maddie. She was raised with her mama and stepdad. Her bio dad, that we see speaking out, had drug problems and was the same damn lawyer representing him in his drug case. I feel like, I don't know. To me, I feel like it's absolutely conflict of interest, but I mean, if a judge ruled and said it's not, I'm just curious if it's going to come back to bite somebody in the butt. You know what I'm saying? But I do think she's obviously due for a pay increase. Hell, honestly, any public defender only making $50 an hour deserves more. Which, I mean, I've come across some really slimy attorneys, so maybe that's why I don't get paid that great. Because even the people that pay them know that they're slimy, and they would drop the mother of they would drop their client, who is the mother of a teen that just got brutally murdered, to take on the murderer. You know what I'm saying? They're like, "Yeah, we know y'all are slimy people, so we're not paying y'all that great." This is just me talking out loud. I heard that Maddie's dad's possession charge was just for marijuana. I don't know. The only thing that I'm reading is that everything that I've read says that it was a private meeting between the judge and Anne. Which that would make me feel better if I found out that there were people present in that room, because there should have been. Definitely should have been. Attorneys are slimy. I know. Um, I know. But anyways, you guys, I think she deserves to be paid more. I don't know. There's just like this one part of me that's like attorneys deserve to be paid more. Then there's like the other side of me that's dealt with attorneys. It's like, no, never mind. Maybe they don't. But I'm going to be keeping up with this case. I think it was a clear case of conflict of interest, but we're going to see what happens. What is 1,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean? Good start. The state was present. Well, that's good to know. I know the state was for her being thrown out. Yeah, I do believe that the charges, the parents' charges, have nothing to do with this. It doesn't matter what their charges were. I don't care what the charges were because I know right now, what's on my rap sheet says that I got arrested for cocaine and I didn't. It was chalk. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows what went on? And this was just 6 days after her daughter was killed. Just 6 days after her daughter was killed. So even it, say she was sober, say she was in recovery, but then her daughter gets killed, and maybe she knows she wasn't the most present mom, and that pushes her into, I don't know. We just don't know the circumstances, so I'm gonna try to give her a little bit of grace there. But you guys leave me your thoughts. If Ann was taken off the case, PK would claim he didn't get the best in the state and appeal to. Is Ann the best in the state though? Because there are other death penalty attorneys in the state. There's 12 others. Can you get? I'm in the process of getting it expunged right now. That's what my attorney's still working on. She's getting it expunged. But anyways, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here because there's something else that I wanted to talk about. Oh, we're gonna do an update on the Athena Strand case. Athena Strand, the little girl out of Oklahoma, who was killed by the FedEx driver. He was indicted. We're gonna do a quick little stream, discuss that, and then I'm gonna go over to the Bash Chat to talk about Christine Brown's new man and how there's a certain YouTuber who's literally like pulling his background check, talking about the fact that he was in bankruptcy once upon a time, like grimy stuff, grimy stuff. I don't like it. I don't like it. So I think we're gonna do a live over on the Bash Chat, but first we're gonna do a quick live on here about Athena Strand and her murderer or accused murderer, Tanner. He was indicted. We're gonna go over that, and then we're gonna go over to the Bash Chat. I don't think it's mandatory he gets the best in the state. I don't think it's either. I don't think it's mandatory that he get the best in the state. He's just got to have legal representation, in my opinion. Because how do you really know who is the best? Anyways, I love you guys. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave me your thoughts if you're watching on replay. Is it conflict of interest or is it not? I want to hear your thoughts. If you think it is, tell me why. If you think it isn't, tell me why. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.